Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first full council meeting of 2021, which I hope will be a healthier and more connected year than 2020 was. We've had one apology from Councillor Emma Dawson, who says she will be sending a report because she's got some new information, well, hot off the press from KCC leader Roger Goff. That was the only apology, wasn't it, Jill?
No, and then we've got apologies from Councillor Page and Councillor Dr. Scott.
Yes, the chair and vice chair of the Planning and Highways and Environment Committee are unable to attend tonight. Do any members need to declare a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest in any of the agenda items? No, thank you. The minutes of the full council meeting on December the 1st. Does anybody have any comments on these? No? Would Councillor like to propose? And another one second, please. Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Green. Thank you.
And is everybody in agreement? Sorry, before we...
Yes.
Thank you.
I just don't learn, do I?
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone in agreement. Thank you very much. Was that an agreement, Councillor Pennington?
Yes, I put my hand up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it over the frame. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is the chairman's report. I'd just like to say that the magazine is now in print. There is an e-version online, and thank you very much to everybody who contributed. It's a very full magazine again, and we've got our tribute to Dr. Dawn, which I hope everybody enjoys. That was everybody providing a paragraph of information with their engagement with Dr. Dawn, the late Dr. Dawn Crouch. And also the news on our new engagement of the tree biodiversity warden, which is exciting, and lots of other things. Jill has a few items to report on, so I'll hand over to our town clerk. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you. Just to remind people that we have the defibrillator cabinet raffle still running. The tickets are due to be drawn at the end of this month. So if anybody still wants tickets, you can actually arrange to collect those from the Town Council office or Krusty Cobbs, the bakery. So that's a really good cause. Also, there's been reports that there have been some trees on the green at the community centre that have been vandalised between Christmas and the New Year. So that was a bit disappointing to hear about that. I'll try and contact TDC and find out if there's anything more we can do to try and protect them. And I think that we will need to consider some signage around the area just to raise the profile of the fact that these, are young trees and they are susceptible to being damaged. And clearly, if we want to plant bulbs and seeds, which we've talked about, that's another area where we need to have proper signage as well to alert the fact that, we've got these things we're trying to grow and nurture.
No, that is hugely disappointing, isn't it?
It is. It is.
That is really, our own community, and they've been planted by the community, and other community members have destroyed them. Yeah. That's really sad.
It is. The community asset transfer is still ongoing. The legal process, hopefully, it looks now it may be concluded in February, so that's really good news. And I've been working with Councillor Donaldson on getting some quotations and things for the pavilion. So we've got some meetings set up this week. And then the only other item I wanted to bring to your attention was the fact that we've got the magazine out, which obviously Councillor Cornford's already covered, so I don't need to elaborate on that further. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. No further reports. Well, we've got a report coming in later from Councillor Dawson, as I said. Do any councillors have anything? Councillor Pennington.
Sorry, Chair. Should we not have voted to receive the minutes of the Planning Committee? Or did I miss that?
We should.
We missed that. I missed that. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. It's Christmas fair. It's gone to my head. The minutes of the Planning and Highways Environment Committee does We're just receiving those, aren't we? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody happy with those? Yes. Everybody? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Councillor Pennington. Right. Public right to speak. Penny Wells has requested to speak this evening. So,
Sorry, Councillor Crawford, we just need to make sure, because obviously Councillor Matthew Scott, I don't know if he's got a district report, and then we've got councillor reports before item 7.
May is not far off, people. Yes, right. Councillor reports. That threw me. I thought Councillor Pennington was going to say something. Councillor Matthew Scott. Do you have a report that you'd like to make?
Sorry, I'm just trying to fiddle about the mute button. Yeah, good evening, members and members of the public. Well, we're into the new year. You know, not to put down on it, but we sort of started the new year as we left 2020. So with the district side, meetings are coming in steadily. The only thing that I'm aware of at the moment is there will be a members briefing next Tuesday, which I'm sure is going to focus over some of the scenarios that are happening at the moment. So there's no agenda on that, but if needs be, a separate report can be put out to members. Other than that, I mean, essentially I'm on standby. Obviously all press releases, all information regarding districts and what the lockdown is facing is basically out and about on social media, and I think it's all been shared and communicated as best as it can do. So yeah, other than that, everything seems to, well, not everything's great, but you know, things are a bit early in as we're 5 days into the new year. The only other thing that I've understood is that the Manston situation has gotten a bit better now with the trucks being sort of a lot more controlled. But again, that's all sort of coming from the top out of my jurisdiction, KCC, but we can always get those fed down. I'm sure Councillor Dawson will be able to give more feedback on that. So unfortunately, I can't really give any more at the moment, but if there's any questions, if there's anything members would like me to focus on, or members of the public, that would be ideal really. So there's more direction. If there's a bit more focus that members would like me to sort of get some answers on, I'll do my best. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. The members briefing, what will that involve?
So basically it's a briefing that at times is conflicted with some of the town council meetings. So I give my apologies, but really it gives us a bit of an insight to what's happening in the district. So I mean, it's exclusive for the members. A lot of that information can be passed over to the public, and more often than not, I believe that our town clerk is somewhat fed that as well. So it's always communicated. So it just keeps us better informed. I mean, obviously with councillors in the district undertaking different jobs, different roles, different lifestyles, I think this is just a case of TDC being able to sort of get everyone in the one room, so to speak, to give us a bit of an insight what's happening to the district really. And every now and then it sort of focuses on something that's sort of pertinent to the time. So the last sort of members briefing we sort of had a focus on was the situation with the Manston, which basically has been a bit of obviously an issue, but it was just a bit of a briefing of what was happening and the communications happening with KCC really. So again, it was just information which is more often not readily available, but sometimes not all councillors are there in the news or there on social media. So it's really just a Q&A for us really, sometimes for the members to be able to ask TDC if there is any issues we can sort of focus on, but it's at the moment being sort of agenda led.
No, thank you, because it's important that everybody understands what that entails. So that's really clear now. Yep. Councillor O'Connor, thank you.
I haven't got a report as such. Mine will come through later when we talk about the budget. but obviously we've now gone back into full lockdown. So I just want to know, how are you managing in the office, Jill? I mean, is there any support you need from us? You know, now obviously we were kind of, you know, the chemists and that lot were kind of coming through. So obviously, can you let us know if you need any support and we can offer any for you?
Of course I will. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Wallen.
Thank you. Right, yeah, I've got a fair few comments to give and updates and reports to give this month. So to keep it short and concise as possible, to make sure I cover everything, I've jotted it all down and simply read out what I've got. I can email it to anyone if they need. Right, firstly, as some of you know, I went on the Calc training course a couple of months ago. I say went on it, but it was like our current council meetings. It was, you know, online event, so it wasn't a real event as such. That aside, I've got to say that it was about the most puerile, childish and pointless thing that I think I've ever done in my entire life.
Councillor Wallen, could I just interrupt you there? We
You
do
can.
have an item.
Yes, I know
10.
you do. I know we do indeed, and I've got more to say when we get to that. I've only got another 3 or 4 paragraphs on the meeting. I've got a few other things as well. So anyway, as I'm saying, it was so poorly organised that it started about a quarter of an hour late, went on in total for over 3 hours, but contained about 10 minutes, mainly near the end, where it said anything of any use whatsoever. A fair number of people just left doing it, which does make you wonder about the whole thing a fair bit. Anyway, I think we should definitely get a full refund of the cost, as it was a complete waste of money. And I feel that under contractual law, we, that's the Westgate residents, are fully entitled to it. Also, I think we should strongly look at leaving the association, as it looks as if it is a gross waste of taxpayers' money, and not every Kent not every Kent local council even in it. Doesn't it, you know, does it do us any good? I tend to think not, and interpret it as a bit of a cash cow. Okay, secondly.
Well, thank you for your personal view on that.
That's just the first thing. Well, I wasn't the only one. Many people left it because it was dire. Anyway, the second one, things that could be good for Westgate. I've been taking some involvement with the post office issue, and I've had communications and even a brief meeting with Adam Reggett. More to come. But there is one option that—
a meeting with who?
The guy from the post office who's behind it all. I'm going to have another meeting with him. You know, he's the one looking into keeping something going. There is.
So you're acting independently with the post office? Okay.
No, I'm acting as appointed by this council. Don't you remember? I was asked to do it, but that's by the by.
Have you spoken to the town clerk about this?
What? I was asked to do this.
No, I just asked. Have you spoken to the town clerk
Not
about it?
specifically, because I haven't got anything to report to any more than I'm saying until, you know, I have another meeting with him. And if you care to listen, I will go into why. There are legal reasons for that. Okay, as I say, there's one reason, one option that is pursuing, but due to offers of confidentiality, you can tell me anywhere about it, not even who is possibly considering running another post office, which is fair enough. But briefly, we spoke about, or other people as well have spoken about, an idea which is, I think, very good, which is post office being placed in our own office, in the town council office, because, you know, it shows how beneficial and good to the local residents we are, because we've got the spare room, and, you know, why not? Other councils have done it, so we wouldn't be the first. We were one of the first who actually took on to looking after our local residents by hosting a post office, and I personally think it might well be a good idea. Well, I think we do have enough room, because if you look at the size of the Margate and Bircham post office, they're both tiny, and one's in.
Councillor Wallen, I'm going to interrupt you there because
I'm finished on that now. I'm on to something else.
Well, jolly good.
Yeah, it is jolly good, isn't it? Absolutely super. Anyway, and things get a bit briefer now. On a third and positive side, I've utilised my position as a councillor in being a council signatory to confirm the ID of a local resident I've known for a few years on a passport application. That is one of the extra little bits we get as town councillors, whether past or present. The authority, you know, we are classed as a recognised profession to do that sort of thing. I don't know if everyone was aware of that, but we can you know, countersign people's passports. Anyway, and finally, a minor thing really, irrespective of the impending lockdown, which starts tonight, I'm still collecting and delivering food and prescriptions for several local residents. I've got 2 to next week, and these came in to me just before the current lockdown was announced. And on a similar point, which connects to some things that have already been mentioned, I do know of, not officially yet, I'm waiting to find out if that will be officially put to me, there's a lady of 89, I believe, who lives in the town who hasn't had any injections yet, and you know, she would possibly want it chased up, and I think that is probably above what we can do. So if she does ask it, I will obviously let the town clerk know, but I'll also let Sir Roger know, and hopefully we'll be able to push it forward for her. And that's me done.
Much, Councillor Wallen. Does anybody else have anything they would like to say? Councillor report? No? Thank you very much. Right, sorry about that, Penny.
Sorry.
Where? Councillor Donaldson, I didn't see your hand.
Yeah,
Oh.
sorry,
And
I was a bit
Councillor
late.
Green.
Yeah, we've obviously started the summer kitchen, our kitchen. They're having problems with volunteers because people are dropping out because of the lockdown, etc. I'm currently working on the recreation ground. We're meeting people tomorrow, and also I'm writing a paper on a community interest company that could indeed manage the recreation ground and various other community development projects, which I'll present to full council when it's ready. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
And also I'm going to be a grandfather again on the 16th or thereabouts. So it's number 4.
Congratulations in advance.
I
Thank
believe
you all.
Councillor Green put his hand up as well.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, following on from Councillor Matthew Scott's TDC report, I just want to reiterate something which was in the press from Councillor Paul Moore about Operation Brock, which was actually misinformation and was not relevant about the emergency preparedness plan if there was something to happen up there. So I just want to put that matter to rest to let people know. And that is all I've got to say.
Thank you, Councillor Green. Thank you. Any other comments? No, I don't see any hands up. In that case, Penny, finally. I don't see Penny Wells. Yes, there.
Right.
Over to you, Penny.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm one of a small group of local residents that have been meeting to discuss our concerns about the planned development to build houses on our green land. Of course, I'm sure there's a large majority of our residents, including yourselves, who are very concerned. And a number of people have submitted their opposition to the planning application. However, there isn't any real organised response from local residents. So my question really was about the way forward, and Jill kindly sent me some links which provide information regarding Westgate Town Council's opposition to the planning application to date. What the group discussed yesterday is we want to ask, what is Westgate Town Council's strategy going forward? And we have a number of questions relating to that. Have the archaeological and other reports been requested? Is there any joint working with Birchington Town Council? Is there to be a committee or steering group to meet regularly to discuss the matter and report to the council and residents? And is it possible that local residents can be involved in such a group? And the last point is, we wondered what Westgate Town Council's involvement will be in the review of the local plan, because we're aware that the local plan very much dictates the housing application for the area. But there was a recent statement by Roger Gale in regard to a revised algorithm. And we wondered, is there is it possible there can be reconsideration of the number of houses that Thanet District Council is required to build, and therefore affect the number of houses that Westgate would have to accommodate? So I know there's quite a lot there, but if you want me to go over anything, happy to do so.
Well, thank you, Penny. I mean, it does involve a huge amount. Starting with the archaeological report, I don't think that's come through yet, has it, Jill?
No, it has been requested, and they said, I mean, before Christmas, it still wasn't completed, but they do know that we've asked them for it 3 or 4 occasions, and they've assured me that as soon as it's available and completed, they will be sending that through. So yeah, that has been covered.
One member of our group has actually submitted a freedom of information request for that as well. Okay, thank you.
As far with Birchington, I mean, we do talk to Birchington, we do hear Birchington's views, but we're still establishing links with our neighbouring parish and town councils. I don't know if you've got any extra information on that, Jill, from what, you know, from Neville Hudson and the committee at Birchington.
Yeah. Yes, so before Christmas, obviously the consultation process is underway with TDC for this outline planning application now. It's still ongoing, it's not finished. And Birchington Parish Council and Westgate have been in contact with each other, and we've been sharing the consultee comments that we've both submitted. So we know that what Birchington have submitted, and they clearly know what we've submitted. And that is on our website, as I've sent you the links. So, yeah, in that respect,
yeah,
contact. Yes,
I mean, anybody can view that, can't they, on TDC's web planning web page?
Yes, yes.
My question is more around: are you going to have a combined sort of strategy going forward to really drive through that, the opposed?
As parish and town councils, we are only consultees, Penny. Right. We don't actually have any final say. We can feed into the objection, which we all have done, and we took. I suggested to the town clerk that we took professional advice on our submission to TDC, which we did do. So as I say, we are only consultees. The outcome from TDC hasn't been disclosed. That there is no outcome of that stage yet. So it's really wait and see what happens next. As far as what's been going on, we've had the neighbourhood plan looking at it for a few years now, which was very poorly attended. And I don't know if Councillor Pennington wants to add anything in there as part of the Planning and Highways Committee, but we're very aware of what's going on. We have responded, as you know, on our website, there are all the links and what we've been involved with. Councillor Pennington, sorry, I asked you if you wanted to say anything and then I kept talking, sorry.
No. Yes, thanks very much. We worked extremely closely with Birchington in our comments on the local development plan when it was a draft form. Obviously that went through for reasons I won't go into.
That's with the local plan, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I said.
Yes.
And as far as the planning application is concerned, you'll have seen we pointed to not only the lack of a proper archaeological study, but the lack of various other studies that should have been done. And indeed, as far as we're concerned, the planning application should not be approved if those studies haven't been done. And they include, for instance, biodiversity and the effects on the water levels, both in terms of water availability and in terms of flooding. And all these things really should have been done. They've had years and years to prepare this kind of thing. The fact that they can't be bothered to submit them now is really not acceptable. As far as the strategy going forward is concerned, the interests of Birchington are slightly different, but I think it is important that we maintain what has been very, very close consultation. As we've said, we've been very informed on the preparation of both sets of comments, and I do think that's important. What is important, I think, is to encourage as many people as possible to put objections in. That is really important. You know, it's not enough saying to your neighbour, I can't stand this proposal, think of all it'll do. That doesn't count as far as TDC is concerned. What's important is they get on the website or send in a letter and really make their objections known, if possible, in a personal way, not in terms of a cyclo, you know, the standard reply that they've been given. But if we can get as many people to object as possible, that would be a big help. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Penton, has the deadline gone for that now? That was December, wasn't it? For this.
I think so, although I think if you keep on writing, they don't.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. I know
Officially it's gone, yeah.
Neil was encouraging people, you know, on the Facebook page to submit their objections, and that helped. I think more people did, but I know there is a lack of objections. But the thing is, a lot of people don't know how to do that. It wasn't that straightforward. You had to register on the website, and you know, a lot of people don't have any knowledge of that sort of thing. So
I think it's been very last minute with people, Penny. This has been going on for a while, and now that it's come to the actual physical, there it is, the planning application, that they're panicking. And they can contact the town council. They can ask the best format or the best way to make their objection. Obviously, we can't provide a script because that's unacceptable. It has to be an individual submission. And we have on other issues, we've actually assisted people in giving them ideas on how to object. But it's actually getting out there, because the online objection, I think Councillor O'Connor might remember how many, there were about 25 objections out of so many hundreds of residents. You know, the response has been very, very poor, despite the warning signs. So now it's really about gathering your strengths, looking at what you're objecting to, and being ready for what TDC come out with after this, after the official objection went in December.
I accept your point, it is late in the day. I know there was Dr. Hannah Brown did quite a lot, didn't she, in the early days? And I emailed her earlier last year, and she said that she thought the response had been quite disappointing. But I think it's how people have been supported in doing that. It relied on them coming to you and asking, and I think a drive, maybe even leaflets through the door to say, do this, you know, but nothing like that happened. And for this stage, it's too late, isn't it? Because that's closed now, isn't it?
Well, it's not too late. Sorry, a problem with my throat. It's not too late. We do have to see what TDC come back with. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, councillors, but at the moment we are in a limbo. We're waiting to see what Thanet District Council's response to the objections to the Millwoods plan are, and we can't, you know, as I say, we're consultees. We can only get people to, you know, to object. We can only feed into it. We don't make any decisions. We are a town council. We don't make those sort of decisions. We advise. And we are hoping that the local, as time goes on, and one of the benefits, well, not benefit, but one of the pluses coming out of the pandemic is that it's becoming more and more apparent that local people at local level routes can feed in vital information on these things, on applications and anything else, because they know what's going on. I mean, that came out with that the KCC scheme in Westgate.
Could Westgate Town Council have a role in informing local residents of their?
We're here to support residents. Councillor O'Connor.
I'm just going to say, I'm listening to this, and I can going back to some of the meetings that we have organised and how poorly they've been attended. And the fact is that they just want the town council to do something, which we have, but nobody's prepared to back that up and have actually joined in with it. You know, this has been going on for a few years. I can remember going around knocking on the doors to residents and saying to them, you know, this is going to affect you. I don't care, it's not going to affect me. And I say, but when you want somebody to go to, you know, your child to get into the right school and everything, it might affect you. it doesn't affect me now. So, you know, there's a lot of apathy out there as well. So I do agree, it's frustrating for those that do want to do something, but there's only so much, you know, the town council are here, the council officers are open to, whether it's by phone or by email, to help and support people. But we have sent out posters, we have had surveys, we have held meetings for this in the past. And unfortunately, the residents really haven't supported us in trying to carry this forward. So it's very difficult to do it the opposite way around as well.
Okay, well, residents are here tonight to ask you how they can take things forward.
Penny, you can email in, you can call, and we can arrange to have a discussion. We can arrange to advise and support. But as I say, at the moment, it is about that communication. It's about residents coming forward and saying, we want some support from the town council. I mean, we have the Planning, Highways and Environment Committee, and Councillor Wallin as a member of the Planning, Highways and Environment Committee.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to make a point really that backs up what Councillor O'Connor just said, that a lot of people, I personally don't want the development, but a lot of people in Westgate seem fairly blasé about it. And believe it or not, I have actually had one or two people say to me that they support it. You know, it's you know, not what most of us agree with, but some people here do actually want it. They can see it as a positive move. I think that is a minority, certainly not the majority. I think the majority, well, the majority are probably a bit nonchalant about it. They're not that worried. If it happens, it happens, but they don't know how to realistically interpret what's going to happen and what the long-term effects are going to be, because it will be a long-term development. It will take many years potentially before it's all built. And a lot of people are very blasé and think, oh, well, so what? But I'd say, although some are against it, the majority are, they couldn't care either way, but some are actually, surprisingly, and say it's not me, but actually support it.
Thank you, Councillor Wallin. I mean, there are always the two sides, but the majority don't. And the other point is that until there is some law to protect high-grade agricultural land, that's the essence of that. That, you know, we have that high-grade agricultural land. We are going to need it, especially considering we've just been through Brexit and we are now supporting ourselves.
I agree totally.
If you know, there needs to be some focus on that. Now, we had a meeting, and I believe Neil came to that, and quite a number of other people, and they were very keen to take action. But again, there wasn't, nothing was really followed up. Councillor Pennington.
Well, I just want to say, Councillor Matthew Scott's been asking for the floor for about 10 minutes, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's quite difficult. Sometimes the way people sit, you can't tell whether they're. Anyway, Councillor Scott, Matthew Scott.
Oh, I thought the thing was the hint there. Just listening in, really. I mean, sorry to sort of hijack this on a district level. I mean, just answer a few of the questions, and do let me know if I blink in and out, because I know apparently I have this problem when I talk a little bit too long. So basically, with regards to the objections, the most recent one, so the planning application, which was OL/TH/20/1400, having a quick little count out, overall, that particular planning application received roughly around about 78, 79 objections, written objections. Those are including the Westgate Town Council and also a member of the council, of the district council, which was myself. I posted that particular sort of bullet point out on Facebook on the 3rd of December, encouraging people. To be fair, it was a letter that I sort of put together to TDC, spent all night sort of on it. Writing's not my strong point, and I totally understand that that might be an issue with some residents as well. Putting pen to paper is sometimes a bit of a writer's block, can be seen daunting, but all the relevant links were available in there. And I think with some of the bullet points I put forward, it was just even a little bit of an insight as to what you could object about. I mean, basically, another thing that I've been part of, and it has sort of concluded now, was the local plan review, which unfortunately for me, I really didn't take much from. It just seemed to be a case of just ticking a box. I have to say I wasn't particularly happy about it. There were several times I objected about building on green agricultural land, as well as mentioning about the housing numbers, and also focusing on building brownfield sites first. I mean, with some of the policies which were contradictory, one of those being protection of the best and most fertile agricultural land, farmland, and yet we're building on that, and also within the local plan policy, protecting and enhancing green infrastructure were two of the things I actually asked Adrian within that meeting. And I think for me, unfortunately, having only really been with the district for still less than 2 years, you know, it's a little bit too late. The local plan in itself has been about for coming on to about 10 years, to my understanding. I mean, unfortunately, my interest of politics and local politics wasn't around 10 years ago, I'm afraid to say. So I didn't pay that interest. But I mean, as well as holding our previous elected councillors to account, and also before the inclusion of TD, well, the Westgate Town Council, yeah, I mean, it is certainly a poor show, and I do have to agree with some of the comments that Councillor Connors pointed out. It seems to be a lot of apathy on Facebook, and yet people seem to be able to write objections and dismay on Facebook very well. It just never seems to go that little bit further to just either signing on to the website for the planning portal. You don't even need to do that. You just write into planning. I basically did that twice. So I wrote the email directly to planning, to the officer who I copied in, and also one on the website. And the one on the actual using the planning email itself was the one that was acknowledged first before the one on the actual planning portal. So it is all there. It's essentially putting an email. I mean, going forwards, it's a case now, and sorry if I'm all over the place on this, I'm just sort of like looking and reading. The next plan of action is, unfortunately, the local plan has been agreed by TDC, not by all councillors, but it had been highly agreed with the vast majority. So that has put the nail in the coffin. The only thing we can really do now, as Councillor Dr. Hannah Scott has pointed out, is object on each planning application as and when they come in. And this was one of them. You know, I hold no secret, I sit on the planning committee, but unfortunately, because I've made myself quite clear on my objections on this, it will put a sort of conflict of interest. I mean, just to give you a bit of an insight, on the planning committee for TDC, you are not to have any predetermination whatsoever. And it, you know, my past history has been shown on Facebook where I have attended protests, have objected on this. It would be dishonest for me to actually sit in on that planning meeting and object, whereas I'd like to be able to object on there as one of the councillors on there, but it just can't be done. I will be speaking against it, and hopefully other councillors will see a sight into this. But yeah, it's just really hard, and I'm not going to lie again, you know, I don't have much knowledge on the local plan in regards to sort of the policies. I'm learning just as much as everybody else is. I mean, you know, it's a lot about feelings at the moment, and unfortunately, you know, the cold hard reality of it is government and law doesn't really care about feelings. If the law's the law, they'll go with that. So, you know, I'd like to welcome any ideas and what we can do, be it letter writings to the MP. I mean, Sir Roger Gower has highlighted that he is against this, and, you know, maybe we should hold him to account and say, okay, well, if you are against it, what can we do? But as, you know, just sort of tie this up, as a Councillor Cornford has highlighted, you know, unless we actually put forward a plan, you know, an actual law to say don't build on agricultural land, it is tough. I mean, I just keep arguing the fact, if we've got allocated, I mean, I worked out it's roughly 40% of agricultural land will be built on if we go by the 17,000 house numbers, which essentially means that 60% is going to be allocated to brownfield sites. And if we are in dire need of housing, I mean, I question that based on sort of the population emigrating to Thanet at this precise moment in time due to the COVID, etc. Then why are we not building on the brownfield sites? Because that gives us 60% of housing as opposed to 40%. We all know why, because it's easier to build on green agricultural land, but that's my argument. That's what I'm going to go with. And, you know, if anyone wants to point me towards people who are very knowledgeable or very sort of educated on that, I can pen together. And, you know, as being a member of a Conservative group, you know, I'd like to think that hopefully that might put a bit of sway on to Sir Roger Gale and say, look, I'm a elected member for Westgate. They're not happy. So that's just what I wanted to say sort of really on all of that. So, yeah. Sorry for the ramble and sorry if I've cut out on all of that.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Councillor Scott. Thank you. Do any other councillors want to comment or say anything to Penny about this? I think, Penny, it's better if you stay in touch with us. I mean, email. I mean, we saw you at the election time, so you know where we are, and so do all the other residents. I don't know if our town clerk wants to say anything on this.
Yeah, just to say that, you know, our email, our contact telephone number, and we've actually got an article in the next magazine as well that's due to be delivered next week out to all the residents. So that covers Darlinge and Westbrook and Westgate. And there's actually an article that Councillor Helen Page put together. It's about the housing development that's proposed. So yeah, please, if anyone, you know, has any queries or wants any information, you know, if I've got it and the town council have got it, we'll gladly share that. And obviously keep people updated with the process that TDC are undertaking, because we're all waiting to you know, find out when that will be concluded, because I think it may be a couple of months yet. I don't think it's going to be quick.
No. Does all that help, Penny? Do you feel a little bit more supported, or possibility
yeah,
that?
I do think. I think I've got some questions around Roger Gale's involvement, but maybe that's not for tonight, because he did indicate this algorithm. It might mean that the allocation would be different, but I don't know if it's too far gone for that to make any difference. But yeah, I think it from this maybe, because I'm representing a small group of people, as I said. So we do need to get more people involved. We need to get people fired up, really. And I do appreciate that it's frustrating when you've tried and nobody's come forward. But as you say, it's often right at the last minute that people really realise what it's going to mean. And I particularly think that people have valued up the fields during lockdown, and, you know, really value more what we've got around us. So I think that would make a difference. But maybe if we could get in touch and ask to meet with a group of you. You said you've got the planning and environmental committee. That sounds like the right committee, doesn't it?
Yes.
And see if maybe you'd be prepared to meet with us and we could discuss things a bit more in detail.
Yes, I mean, action has been taken all the way along the line. I mean, we have, as Councillor Matthew Scott said, we have protested, and we haven't been silent about this.
No, but it's not over yet, is it? So.
And things are changing considerably now. I mean, a lot of things are changing. The white paper that's going through, I mean, there's been a lot of objections on that, on how planning is conducted. I mean, Brexit, all these things. So yes, we'll speak soon. Thank you, Penny. Thank you for coming along tonight, and thank you also, Neil, for being there.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to item number 8, and that's over to the Vice Chair and Chair of Finance, Councillor O'Connor. Thank you.
Sorry, just unmute. Right, we'll start through with our finance reports, and the office has kindly provided all the reports. So we have got our normal report showing you where we are as far as our money is concerned, actual cash, what the current account holds in petty cash, and what our deposit account holds. And as you can see, we're keeping as much as we can in our deposit account, although of course interest is virtually nothing these days. So that's by the by, but obviously it was good practice at one stage to do that. So they're just to be received. So everybody has got those to be looked at. Everybody happy to receive the bank statements and bank reconciliations? Yep.
I think that was
I think
Councillor
so.
Crawford, I think, raised a hand there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's happy to receive them, yeah?
And
It looks like,
sorry, Councillor Wallen, I think, as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay. The second reports we've got is our payments, list of payments and receipts that would be made between for November. So this is just tells you all the BACS payments that have been paid out and the values of them and all the incomes that we've got in. And again, that's just to be received. So everybody happy to receive those reports?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
then we have got our details. We've got two different reports. One is the annual budget by combined account code, and the other is detailed payments and receipts by budget heading. And they're actually the same report, but they're just shown in different ways. One shows it just a list of income followed by expenditure, and the other one shows it in what we term as little cost centre orders. But it also shows a percentage. This is up to the end of November. We will be doing December's in the first, in fact, next week, I think we'll be doing that.
Yes.
Basically, we should be running about 66%. And as you can see, if you run your eyes down the report, we're generally under what we have done, unless it's a full year. So, you know, it shows you that we obviously haven't been spending an awful lot of money just doing the running costs or anything else at the moment. So we're just we're ticking along. We're likely to come the next 3 months and how things go on that. Okay.
Councillor
Anything else?
Pennington's got his hands right.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Councillor Pennington.
Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. I just noted that for the community newsletter, line 7500, we had already gone over the allocation of 1300. We were up to 1600, and we still have, I think, one newsletter to go. Was that an increase in costs, or what was the reason for that?
There was a slight increase this year, but we've already paid for this year's newsletter, so we haven't got any more invoices to pay for this current financial year. We've paid them.
Sorry, I've just got to let the dog out. Sorry. Joys of being here. Sorry about that. My puppy wanting to go outside. And she doesn't know her manners of waiting yet. So I beg your pardon on that one. Thank you for explaining that, Jill.
That's okay.
So that was that one done. And then, so obviously we've got, so it's the two reports that just show you the different ways it goes through, and Jill has already explained some of our things, like obviously our precept we've had in advance, some of the things we've paid the full year for, and it's against the budget for the full year, so you can see it like that. But generally speaking, we're on track. We're not got any big overspends that are really hitting us to that extent. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Do you want me to carry on to the draft budget, because that's
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Sorry, can we just make sure that everyone's received all those reports all together? Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Well, the last meeting we had, it was decided that draft 2 we would go through and put towards this meeting as to take it forward, because what it showed was the reduction in income that we are not likely to have now through the room rental income that we were getting, but it also showed the bit of money that we wanted to put into reserves ready for. So we've got our asset transfer of 5,000. So obviously hoping to do, as Councillor Donaldson said, is we're hoping to get a management company that will be able to run this. But because of COVID and because of the COVID restrictions, it's likely to cost us for the first year. So we've been prudent. I mean, if it doesn't cost us, you know, that'd be great. But we have to put in the budget that there be some town council costs for this. We've also put in £1,000 for climate change, which we were asked to do. 1,800 for our traffic improvements to start saving up for that for our reports. We have our normal contingency to try and to build up our reserves so that in line with what we're supposed to have with our precept, and obviously £1,000 towards election. So there are our biggest increases that we've gone through, is that. So overall, we're asking for an uplift of £8,000 this year. So looking at the council per TDC reconciliation, it's about 6.37 uplift that we're asking this year. Because we have started off with such a small budget, it obviously increases it. So that's the amount that we're hoping to go forward. Now, obviously, this coming year, we've been told not to allow for any income that's coming through, or very little income that's coming through, unless it can be guaranteed. So that's obviously one of the things that we have got the problem with. We've not really allowed much for anything, for any events. We've allowed a few things for a few events, but obviously nothing that we can create income out of this year. So it's really going to be ticking along. Our office costs and our running costs are the same, but the service that Jill and her girls are actually, and the gentlemen on the ground are actually providing for the Westgate residents, such as you know, being able to collect prescriptions, shopping, organising, all of that type of thing, keeping the leaves down, keeping the roads as clean as possible, getting our extra bins into, you know, so I understand the full value of it. So that's why our running costs are still that. So if everybody's happy, that's what Jill will submit to TDC and see if that gets accepted.
Thank you, Councillor O'Connor. I mean, it's a difficult year. This is going to be a difficult year for everybody, and this budget will see us through. It's you know, it's been well thought out. There are all sorts of possibilities with the asset transfer, and there are grants to be had. So yes. You know, it's very much see how it goes. I mean, it's a fantastic asset, and yes, there are considerable costs attached. Jill.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to follow on from what Councillor O'Connor said, really, just to say that Thanet District Council have told us that the draft tax base calculation is likely to be 2482.41, but that's not confirmed by TDC. So taking that into consideration, the proposed precept figure of 149475 is actually divisible by 9 to get to £60.21. So £60.21 is divided by 9 and gets to £6.69. So that figure is actually works out with the draft figure we have from TDC. I just wanted to let everybody know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. I have noted that the government seems to be talking in terms of a significant relaxation of present COVID restrictions once the inoculation or vaccination programme gathers pace. Obviously, you can't put a date on this, but they talked in terms of somewhere around Easter, maybe in April. And I continue to believe, as I said last time, that this budget doesn't allow us significant headroom to develop our activities in the second half of the year, when there are likely to be far fewer restrictions than we would like, we will find that we would like to do things, maybe something along the lines of a suitably amended Westgate Day, and we aren't able to do them because there isn't the money there in the budget. Thank you.
We've considered, sorry, we considered this, and there is a small amount of money that we have still put in there, and obviously there are grants that we will be applying for as per normal through the years for any of the activity and the community activities. So there are quite a few grants that we can do, which would mean that we wouldn't have to use.
Councillor O'Connor, you've cut out.
That we put aside for it, you know. Sorry, I can't.
Councillor O'Connor, could you say that again, because we lost you?
I was just going to say that we would need to apply for grants for any further entertainment that we were trying to put on, and obviously trying to raise income. You know, maybe having food fests where people pay and things like the council providing completely free entertainment. So we would work and get grants in to cover anything like that to continue. We've looked at trying to do things that cost very little money, such as the Scarecrow Day. We're looking at things that maybe the Stranger in the Window type of day and things like that that will bring people into Westgate, but maybe in a more gentler way, so that, you know, we don't get the big crowds and everything. So we have to be careful of how we get people back into Westgate. So we're trying to look at things like that for doing. So that was the idea at the moment of doing that. It should have been self-sufficient anyhow this time, rather than the council providing it. We should be getting people to, you know, to help us to do it, rather than the full cost coming to the council each time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor O'Connor, because it is about us supporting residents and what they want to do, and it is about bringing the community together and doing community events. I mean, the Scarecrow Trail was a huge success in the summer. It didn't, you know, it just involved the fun of creating scarecrows, walking around, looking at them, and it brought everyone together. And it was hugely enjoyable, and we were very lucky with the weather. I mean, this year people are going to be very cautious. You know, people have been very badly hit, and I'm sure Councillor Green will agree with me on that one. You know, we can't launch into anything that is anything which is reminiscent of pre-pandemic. That's going to take a while. I mean, 2022, yes, but I'm sure that councillors will agree that this coming year is going to be see how it goes, and very gently and concentrate on engaging with the community. I mean, we've got the business forum, you know, that's a huge tool to engage with the community with. So I think overall this is a very good budget for a not yet post-pandemic year. Councillor O'Connor.
The other thing is, obviously, because a lot of people may have lost their jobs or be on reduced income, it was very conscious of keeping things within the, you know, as it is going up £3.60, you know, per person or per household, that pays you know, that does pay towards it. And
we've lost you again.
Know, we are conscious of the fact that, you know, that is 6% is quite a big rise. 6.35. Sorry, it's nothing I can do. It's back. No. Sorry, I can't.
Sorry, are you aware that we've lost you, sound-wise?
Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah.
All right. No, thank you very much, Councillor O'Connor. Do other councillors have any comments to make about the budget? Would somebody like to propose that we accept this? Councillor Wallin, and seconded by Councillor Green. Thank you both. And everybody in agreement? Oh, we have Any abstentions?
2. Thank you.
2 abstentions. And everyone in agreement? Those who do agree?
Yeah.
Thank
5.
you.
No, 6.
Five.
6.
6.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Item number 10.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Do we feel we've covered this? Do other councillors want to make any comments about this? Councillor Pennington.
Just to say that I'm sorry, I attended the course. When I say I'm sorry, I just wanted to disagree with Councillor Wallin, respect his view, but actually I thought the course was quite well done. He made 1 or 2 points which are perfectly valid, not least the fact that they repeated the claim that the town council must have a mayor, and I've checked this with other people and found that it's simply not the case. You know, there may have been a few people switching off when he was on the course, but in general, I found it quite useful. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pennington. Councillor O'Connor. Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, I found it useful as well. Yeah, I found it useful. Can you see me?
Good. Yes, I can. Thank you. Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, I thought it was useful as well. It was very interesting to meet other councillors who were quite local, and also Clive from Calc himself, who's always been this, you know, this person, Clive, and put a name to a face and so on. And, you know, now Calc do provide, you know, people like ourselves, people like, you know, our first tier councils with a lot of support, a lot of help. They produce quite good publications, which I've got a few of here. I mean, there's this one here, which I found quite useful, was Good Councillor's Guide to Community Business. Is that baby there, which is very interesting. Yep. Just, you know, kind of up my street. And, you know, I think Clive and his team, under difficult circumstances, which was training on Zoom, did a good job, and would like to attend all the training courses provided by them.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Donaldson. Councillor Wallin.
Yes, thank you. Well, it's nice to hear Councillor Donaldson agreeing that what we were told was absolute rubbish when he in a training session told us that the leader had to be a mayor, which is absolute rubbish. So he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. So he shouldn't be training a frog, let alone a council. The whole thing was a complete waste of time. It was very childish. It was aimed at school kids, including the idea of telling us that in the past, Sandwich Town Council ran a brothel. Well, that's really interesting to know that in medieval times we could have run a brothel, but apparently he did tell us that we can fund an orchestra and we can fund a mortuary. So, you know, there's some good things there, and playing games of, you know, identify the picture. That's where he put the brothel in, which was very childish. And seeing a picture of Fleabag and another one of Bridget Jones and saying that they are really ideal people, and playing quizzes and silly names of picture games and word games. It was absolutely childish. His PowerPoint picture was not possible to even look at. It was absolutely pathetic and a waste of time. And I really do think that to save the residents money, we should leave Calc at the first chance we get, because they are costing the residents money and they're of no use.
Well, thank you, Councillor Town Clerk.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to add that actually the expertise and the guidance and I mean, it's been invaluable since I've been here for 3 years. I've had to call on help numerous occasions. In fact, instantly when I started, it was almost on a weekly basis. And without their support and without their expertise, I certainly wouldn't still be here. So I just want to reiterate that what they provide is absolute brilliant value for money, and actually is very, very necessary, because we don't have the expertise here amongst us. We do need to rely on proper experts to provide us with the guidance and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that's one councillor's opinion, and Councillor Wallins is entitled to his opinion. However, there was more than one councillor that went on it, and the rest of the councillors found it useful. And I do feel that the service that we get from Calc is useful.
Councillor Wallen.
Yes, well, I'd like to just point out the number of people who left, all right, not necessarily from our council, but the number of attendants who left was over 20% by the end of it, which if you've got a dropout rate of 1 in 5, it tends to infer that your course is absolute crap. As you know, further than that, you know, the town clerk, Jill, saying they're wonderful and they've helped. That they may be good in some points, but they don't know the basis of it. So maybe we should find another association, or you know, some other way around it, because they're a dire waste of money. They're costing the local residents in Westgate money for not knowing what's going on. They don't know, you know, the situation. They're telling us our council isn't properly run because you're not a mayor. You're just a chairman or chairwoman. You know, but you're not a mayor, and that's apparently not allowed legally by them. That's what they told us on a training course. So they're obviously incompetent.
Well, thank you, Councillor Wallen, for your
That's all right.
certainly...
I've got much more to say if you want me to.
No,
but I
thank
won't.
you. Your certainly unique and extremely disrespectful attitude.
No,
because Calc are actually
Isn't
one of
the
the
other
top
people left?
associations in the country.
and over
Councillor
20% of the over 20% of the people that are training the puerile useless course did leave. So obviously a lot of other people thought it was naff. as
Councillor
well.
Wallen, I think we've got the point, and I would
Yeah.
like to point out that
Yeah,
Councillor
I'm an
Dr.
adult and I don't need to go on kids' courses.
Can we tone the language down, please?
Yes, thank you.
I'm an adult, I'm above 18 and I don't need to go on courses aimed at people below 18. Sorry.
My point is, can we change the language? You know, they're
Yes,
public meeting. I don't think
Yeah,
it's
yes.
appropriate.
yes. You're supposed to
Whatever your opinion
represent...
is, David, I will respect your
Sorry, it
opinion,
was a puerile and childish course.
but using certain words I don't think is acceptable in a public
Oh,
meeting.
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware I used any. But then, oh, brothel, of course. They told us about town councils running a brothel. That was down to them. Sorry, I
No,
won't
it's
use
not-
brothel.
It's not about that. It's about use of
Continue.
language, but I've said my piece. Thank you.
Councillor
The
Scott,
sooner we leave them, the better.
Councillor Scott?
Sorry. Yeah, just to say that I think we've established all members' views, those who attended. So I'd like to vote that we move on to the next agenda if possible, please. So we
Thank
don't-
you. Yes, you're right. The Community Awards Scheme. Jill, would you like to report on this? Are you all right to do that after that
Yes.
tirade?
Fine, thank you. Yes, so I mean, really, I don't want to put anyone in the position this evening of, you know, we have to make a decision about nominations. But what I would like to ask members is if we can actually adopt the Community Awards Scheme. You've got all the outline and the process, which I've shared with you, you know, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So
Jill,
hopefully,
you went quiet then.
sorry,
You went quiet then.
can you hear
The
me?
volume, yes, that's better.
Yeah. Hopefully you've had an opportunity, say you've had the information for about 3 weeks. So it outlined the process and the actual scheme. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to read about it. It is really this evening, if members would like to adopt the scheme, and then we can seek for nominations. So it's not that I'm expecting anyone to have nominations this evening, but if we can agree, if members can agree to adopt the scheme, and then we can actually seek nominations from residents and from the council as well. Because as you'll see, there is a deadline for February. So it is important if we want to take part in the scheme that we adopt it this evening.
Do any councillors have any comments on this? Or any questions? In that case, would someone like to propose that we adopt this scheme? Councillor Green, Councillor O'Connor, thank you. And everybody in favour? Thank you. Thank you. Item number 12, the Local Council Award Scheme, the NALC one. Again, Jill, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. So in addition to the COUT scheme, there is the Local Council Award Scheme as well. And obviously other councils in Kent are already partaking in the scheme. And obviously with all the hard work that we've been doing in the past couple of years, I mean, there is no reason why we couldn't actually take part in this scheme and go for the foundation level to start with. There is, hopefully you've had a look at the guide, the guide that I shared with you, and it does give you the criteria, and it is a peer panel that we have to satisfy that we meet the criteria. I'm not proposing that we try and hit the deadlines for January, but as you'll see, there are there was a round in May and also in September. So I just wanted to really ask members if they'd like us to pursue this, because I think it would be a really good idea to actually, for residents and the community and for us to be able to have this award and prove that we've actually met the criteria, and we're operating in best practice. All the hard work that we're undertaking and what we're doing for our community would be endorsed with this, and it's something that we can actually go forward with and work towards.
Absolutely. Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that all the hard work where the council has actually, moved kind of a quantum leap since the election in May 2019. And I think the standards that have been adopted by the council are very high, and that, I'll support pursuing this scheme. I think it's great.
Good.
Well done, Jill, for all your work as well.
Absolutely. Councillor Matthew Scott.
Yes.
Yeah, basically just to second what Councillor Donaldson mentioned. I mean, just to really put sort of a picture to words here, I do believe that the Westgate Town Council was highly acknowledged on our very proactive approach when the first lockdown was actually put forward. Jill and the team really did go into full throttle to actually devise a very good skeleton baseline on how we could actually, I mean, back then it was a very, very interesting, scary, unsettling time for most people. I mean, most people have now got a handle of what they do. Most people understand that they can leave houses for essential shopping, but back then it wasn't the case. And the town council and obviously the members who volunteered were able to. It would have not have happened if it wasn't down to the structure of Jill really to actually go out, defy things. I mean, it was tweaked as we went along, and for it to actually just start off in the first place, I think a lot of other councillors and even TDC to some respect actually acknowledged the proactive approach and took some examples from it. I don't know which one was it now or COUT, one of the two that did commend you on that and actually wanted to use your sort of plan as a baseline. So, I mean, if not just for the Westgate Town Council, at least for our town clerk Jill and the office, recognition does need to be made, and that would be a shining example really of a council actually really going out there, being proactive, and having members to sort of lead that charge as well along with the town clerk. So yeah, I mean, if a proposal is needed, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a strong believer in localism, and I think what goes along with that is a clear system of performance measurement and an acknowledged bias of areas where we could improve. So I strongly back this scheme. I think it's important that we have step-by-step standards to aim at, and that we go on improving our performance. I mean, I think we are doing quite well at the moment, thanks to, in particular, to Jill and her team. And I think, I think we should step on this ladder and always aim to be climbing a bit higher. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pennington. Would someone like to propose? Councillor Scott, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Sorry, Brown. And those in favour? Thank you.
Councillor Green.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate or just go one back on that before we move forward that, you know, it goes to show that the emergency plan, which was in its very infancy, you know, worked well, and it shows that the resilience of the Town Council has also worked very well, and it goes to show that the Kent Resilience Forum also has been of benefit to this Town Council, and it should be used as best practice, maybe by at least CALC and maybe, you know, any other representative body. And I just want to say, you know, I think we've done very well, or not we, but the town clerk and the rest of the staff that work in the offices. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Green. Does anybody else have any comments? No. I'd just like to apologise to everybody who's listening to this and going to be listening to this for the appalling disrespect and lack of unity shown by Councillor Wallen. Thank you all for coming tonight.
That's lovely of you, Councillor Cornford. I just don't want us to waste our residents' money, which is what we're doing by being a member of CALC. CALC are proving to be a complete waste of time, and the sooner we leave them, the better. As I say, not every council is even in them because they are a waste of money, but hey-ho, if it keeps you happy.
Thank you, Councillor Wallen. Our next meeting is on February the
2nd.
2nd. Thank you, Jill, and thank you, everybody. Good night and keep safe. Look after yourselves.